After all the football clubs in the world, you wouldn't think a set of clubs owned by a drinks company would create a new way of running a football empire. However, today I'll be taking a look at the Red Bull Football Group and all the teams that comprise it, and they're one of the most controversial organisations in football. But with their attacking style and their youth development system, they're one of the most fun teams to watch, with supporters from around the world for their various teams. Hi everyone, I'm Ghost Masala and welcome back to another video. I know it's been a pretty long time. I'm just kind of out of ideas. I've got a FIFA series idea for next year, and I've kind of got some more ideas for recently, but if you have any suggestions, make sure to leave them in the comments. Sort of, I don't know. Of course, I'm not at school anymore, so hopefully I'll have a bit more time to get videos out, but I might not as well. Anyway, I'll take a look at all the Red Bull clubs and what they do, because they all work a little bit differently. So let's go, starting in chronological order. First up, we have Red Bull Salzburg. Red Bull have long had many different sports teams in many different areas. Red Bull soapbox race, and I think they did ice hockey as well. So it seemed likely that the biggest sport of the world in football would be a good target for them. Bull Salzburg's football tactic is always to buy existing teams and then rebrand them when they try to make a new club in a new league. So the team in this case was SV Austria Salzburg. They were a relatively successful Austrian team. They'd done a bit in Europe, they'd been around for quite a bit of time, but they were essentially reduced to dust. There is like a AFC sort of fan team that's popped up because they got completely demolished. And although branding of Austrian clubs is uncommon, no one had really seen this before in the world at all, apart from with MK Dons. This was after MK Dons, but in this way, like literally made just to make money. It's not been seen too often. But flash forward to 2019, and Red Bull Salzburg are now they are now the strongest team in Austria by quite a distance. They've won the last 6 Austrian Bundesligas, and here's how they keep winning. So they're strong at homegrown development. Salzburg have created a supply line of Austrian talent that they buy from other Austrian clubs and create through their own academy, primarily, which especially recently the Austrian players from the academy have gone up quite a bit, with Xaver Schlager, Hannes Wolf and Leiner. They're all Austrian talents who have come through the academy, and they all actually left this summer. They also have a worldwide scouting team which is added to their players, which they can find easily, and some amazing youth players from almost everywhere in the world have gone through Salzburg. So they have academies like basically everywhere, it seems, or scouts. They have a really wide scouting team. Here's some of the players that they found: Naby Keita, Sadio Mane, Kevin Campbell, who plays for Leipzig, I think he does, Marcel Sabitzer, Deo Upamecano, and of course you can't forget the legend himself, Cristiano. Amazing silver card. The current youngsters who play for Red Bull Salzburg are even better, and I wouldn't be surprised if at least 3 members of the team go on to become world stars. And their final strong point is that they also like getting the best players from obscure nations for marketing purposes. So if you think, for example, you have Munas Dabur, the Israeli striker, if Israel's best player plays for Red Bull Salzburg, they're going to get a whole lot of new fans from Israel, and this is also part of the reason why they have that worldwide scouting team, so they can get as many fans as possible. A couple of other these examples are like Diadje, Sam Maseko as well. They like to sort of mix it up and try and bring in the best players from various countries around the world. However, this setup is not perfect, and it does have 2 problems, and they don't have enough money to keep their young talent, because of course they're making profit and also helping out RB Leipzig as well. I'll come to them later, but it leads to like a mass exodus every year. 4 of their starting 11 have left this year. I think more left last year, but they always have like half of their team leave every season, and their team this season looks a lot weaker, but they're still going to win the Bundesliga, and they're still going to bring in. They've still got so much brilliant talent there. It's crazy. They also regularly give players to Leipzig, which is also a bit of a problem, which I think the fans of Red Bull Salzburg do get a bit annoyed about. That is the fact that they do give players to Leipzig every year. You'll see a couple of players go to Leipzig for a lot cheaper than they would do if they were sold to different clubs, but then Red Bull Salzburg isn't exactly making huge purchases everywhere. Anyway, they also have way too many players because they have such a big youth academy. They always bring in way too many players. They do have a backup team as well, but still, they had around 7 pretty good strikers who could have probably started in that team without too much problem last season. So yeah, that's Red Bull Salzburg, a very interesting club with some very good youth prospects. Now let's move on to the next club, the American club New York Red Bulls, and they were founded in 2006, a year after Salzburg were founded, and New York Red Bulls were a clear attempt to attract the American market. Of course, if you think about it, MLS is pretty new at this stage, and they signed players at the time, sort of like Thierry Henry and Tim Cahill, but I'm not sure about this. What I've written down is maybe not true, because they're kind of just, what I wrote down was that they're kind of just there at the moment in mid-table, having fallen behind clubs like LA Galaxy, LAFC and Atlanta United, but that's just in the big names. What I didn't realise is that they actually won the whole thing last season, I think, or they came first and then they lost the playoffs or whatever. But if you have a look at their team sheet, it just doesn't look that good, even with the young players, so I don't really know what's going on. They do have Bradley Wright-Phillips, who was, I reckon he probably carried them last season. The youth system seems to have picked up a little bit though, but then that's happening with a lot of clubs in the MLS at the moment. Let's move on to the sort of failed attempts to make a Red Bull club. So Red Bull Brazil were founded in 2007 in the 4th tier of the Sao Paulo State Championship. So this is like the 8th tier of Brazilian football essentially, which is a bit low down. And although they started well, they failed to get past the 4th tier of Brazilian football. I believe, I forgot the name of the championships, but they got to the national part of Brazilian football. They only really had a couple of talents going to Salzburg and Leipzig in Andre Romaglio and Bernardo, who now plays for Brighton. In fact, in 2019, Red Bull Brazil merged with a 2nd tier club called Bragantino, and they will become RB Bragantino. So we'll see what happens there, but it looks like they will be jumping up the leagues a little bit, and it shows that the Red Bull company still do care about this club. Then we have Red Bull Ghana, which is even more strange. This team was formed in 2008, and it did even worse. They didn't really find anyone that good. I'm really not sure. Like, the players they found were like okay. They're playing in like lower tiers of Austrian football or French football or stuff like that, and they were relegated from the top Ghanaian league in 2013. I mean, the Ghanaian league is not that much quality, so that just shows you that it didn't go too well for them there, and they did end up collapsing in 2014. They merged with another academy, and Red Bull gave up on that Ghanaian team again, maybe because of a certain German Red Bull team that they have there. And finally, let's move on to Leipzig. I've now been talking for quite a bit, and maybe you've been looking forward to this bit, but let's get on to Leipzig. So Leipzig basically had no team, and this is like a big city. Like, I don't know, but I guess it has like 200,000 people, and they bought a local 5th tier team, and Red Bull found that they couldn't call the team Red Bull Leipzig, so they had to stick with RB, which stands for something weird, but it just doesn't make sense in German, and it's just a clear way to get around it, if that makes sense. But yeah, so they got promoted quickly by having a similar youth program to Salzburg, as well as a quick turnaround of players, and many players taken from Salzburg as well once they got higher up, to help them sort of make that last push into the top division of German football. And I think they had like a 10-year plan, so they had to get to the top division in 10 years, and they completely smashed that and got there a couple of years before that, like in 8 years I think. And but their 2nd division team had so many youth players. They invested so much in youth, and it was such a big risk. But the youth they had a very young team in the second division still, and a lot of these players are still around and are good players today. They had players like Naby Keita, Emil Forsberg, Orban, Poulsen, and a couple of players who don't play for them anymore, Ante Rebic and Joshua Kimmich, who are both very good players, but not for RB Leipzig. And with their counter-attacking style, they became one of the most exciting teams. And you've got to remember, the Bundesliga is such an exciting league anyway. With the attacking football, you've got Dortmund, you've got Bayern, you've got so many attacking players and so many not so good defenders. And RB Leipzig also branch out to as many nations as possible by buying players, as do Red Bull Salzburg, but with bigger football nations. So, whereas Salzburg will buy players from like different countries in Africa, Asia, Red Bull Leipzig go for the young players from the bigger football nations and loan a lot of players like England. If you think about how many English players have gone to Red Bull Leipzig, no, you can't say that, to RB Leipzig, and also a lot of young French players as well, like Upamecano, who may or may not have played for Salzburg, and also a lot of young Portuguese players. I think they have Uruguayans, Brazilians, basically every major nation in the world they will have had a player, because they want to market as much as possible and sort of get the publicity out. Thanks a lot for watching. This could well have been a longer video, and these types of videos, I've been making a lot of videos recently that just take such a long time to make in between the Road to Hokkaidos, which are just super quick to make. But it's just, I really enjoy doing videos like this, even if they don't get many views, because I can like go back and look at them. It's just so fun to like research stuff. I know that might sound a bit strange, but I really do enjoy making this sort of thing. And also let me know if you're a supporter of one of these clubs, Red Bull Salzburg, RB Leipzig, or New York Red Bulls. Maybe you even support Red Bull Brazil, or maybe you're even like an original Red Bull Ghana supporter, and you were just like, why have they gone? I don't even know if they have supporters. I don't think Red Bull Salzburg have many supporters, to be honest. But anyway, I've just insulted everyone watching this video, but yeah, so tell me if I've got the stuff right in this video. I think I've done too well, because I follow Salzburg and Leipzig myself, so I do know quite a bit about them. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this, and if you didn't, then make sure to subscribe and follow the channel anyway, because I do a lot of random FIFA stuff, and there'll be more for the rest of the subscribers. I'll probably be doing more content, as I said, but also I'll be doing a new FIFA series alongside Road To Hokkaido when FIFA 20 comes out, so you can look forward to that, or you can not look forward to that, or whatever you want to do. But yeah, not too much else to say. Hopefully you've enjoyed. This took me such a long time to make, so make sure to like it as well. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.